Building a bed that wakes me up.
In the deepest slumber, dreaming about something wonderful, and then suddenly...
I'm wondering how he's gonna make it wake him up. Like, is he just gonna have the bed start fucking rapidly shaking?
that dreaded sound. There has to be a better way to wake up, so I got to thinking, and then it hit me. What if I built a custom bed that wakes me up slowly and peacefully?
Just fucking drops him. The floor opens and the bed just falls.
Certainly, this would be the solution to my alarm clock problem.
The better bed. Better butter bed.
If your circadian rhythm wasn't disrupted by screens and alarms, you'd go to bed when the sun sets and gradually wake up when the sun crests the horizon. Ever since the dawn of time, human sleep schedules have closely followed the rising and setting of the sun.
Yeah, that's crazy how we fucked all that shit up when we made like screens and shit and lights. Because now we don't use like the sun to go to sleep anymore. And we don't wake up to the sun. We wake up when we want or when our alarm goes off.
So I asked myself, what if I can recreate
Boring
this?
next vid, yo. I'm gonna fucking time you out. Dank, yo, we're gonna watch this fucking video and then we're gonna watch another one after this, okay? You can wait until the one after this one, okay? If you don't like this video is only 20 minutes long. It's probably only gonna take us like 40 minutes to get through. Shut the fuck up. No? I'm gonna fucking time you out, dude. I'm about to time you out.
I have three main goals for this bed design. 1. I want it to be extremely well built and sturdy, so it'll last me for many years.
The precision.
L streamer. Yo, Dank, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to do something here, and you won't stop.
With which the pieces are joined together.
2. I want the headboard to be visually inspired by nature. Why, you ask? Because I want to, and because I'm tired of seeing furniture that only has right angles.
Angles other than 90 degrees.
And finally, I want this bed to wake me up in a more peaceful manner than my alarm clock, which we'll get to later. This project, like many of my builds, will have to take place entirely outdoors, as it's too big to be constructed in my 12 by 20 foot shop. Ever since my projects have grown in scale and I've acquired more tools, the more and more I end up working entirely outside. Even if I had a fully equipped indoor shop, I would definitely miss.
I feel like he's gonna make it so it like, the bed like vibrates or like shakes or something. Cause if he's not using noise, then I don't know how else it would wake
Working
him
outside.
up.
There's something very human about doing your work outdoors, rain or shine.
Unless he puts like a light above him. But
The wood I'm using for this project is
the
3/4
bed goons you.
inch hemlock trim boards from the big box store.
That should be his
You're
next
probably
project.
thinking this is both impractical and expensive, and you're right. The reason I'm going with this option is because I had a gift card that was given to me by a company from a previous sponsorship, so I thought I'd make use of it. The result of this decision is that I bought every remaining hemlock trim board from Lowe's, which totaled around $450. There definitely would have been cheaper ways to do this, but this was the cheapest way for me. The downside is that most of the pieces of this bed frame are thicker than 3/4 inches. So, for example, the legs of the bed, I had to cut and glue 3 layers of the trim boards to achieve my final thickness. So at this point I have all 4 legs of the bed cut down. For this bed design, I really want it to feel chunky and sturdy, and I'm pretty happy with the size of these legs here. But I do have a bit of a
It's
problem.
gonna be the sturdiest bed I've ever fucking seen, dude.
Since I had to rip these down in 2 passes on the table saw, it left quite a noticeable cut line down the center. So I'm gonna have to...
Alright, I think we can skip the montage.
And they're gonna overlap each other slightly, and this is where the hidden feature of this bed is gonna come into play. I wanna visually tie this headboard to the lamp that I recently made that goes above my bed. This overlapping design for the headboard is gonna look interesting, but the completely straight boards I feel are just lacking a bit of character. So I need to do...
I have a completely straight headboard. Well, not completely straight because there's like a little top piece to it, but for the most part, it's like straight. It's also not even real wood. It's like a fucking, it's like wallpaper, but for wood.
My second main goal was for this design to be visually inspired by nature. So by cutting the overlapping sides of the headboard slats with these angles,
I think I changed what I predict he's gonna do to wake him up. I think he's gonna use light because he mentioned the sun and the moon in the beginning, and now he's talking about like nature. So I think he's gonna use light.
it would create a landscape-like design that resembled layered hills or mountains. I think with the more organic designs, you can't really plan things out too much in advance. Otherwise, things start to look a bit too robotic and predictable. This is the same as how when you draw something quickly, it's usually more true to the idea in your head than if you carefully drew each line and erased. I think the more critical you are of your work, the more the original essence of your idea can get lost. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do is figure out how to attach the slats to the actual legs. The combination of those two elements is going to create the headboard itself. But the problem is that the slats not only are at an angle, but they have to be overlapping each other with at least a half
Now I'm like looking at my bed. Now I'm curious like how my bed is built.
inch of room in between them. The reason that I need that half-inch gap is to accommodate the hidden feature that's going to help wake me up. And the other consideration is that this joint between the slats and the legs is what's going to provide most of the strength. I recently got a domino jointer. I haven't used a domino in a while, so
multiple dominoes that you're trying to line up, it lets you get them together.
What's a domino? What's a domino jointer?
these are all the pieces of the bed frame. I think it's pretty cool to see them all laid out.
What size
flat
bed do you
before
think it is?
starting
Oh,
the
how do you,
assembly process.
Chad, how do you think he measured like the dimensions to make the size of the bed? Because when he buys like sheets and blankets for it and stuff, he's gonna have to know what size bed it is. Do you think it's just online? Oh yeah, it probably is. Probably is just like online.
A bit like getting a new Lego set as a kid and dumping all the parts on the ground before building.
Yeah, except you made the Lego pieces, and now you have to build it too.
I used the domino joiner to cut all these mortises in the headboard slats. The domino simplifies the joinery process so much, but if you don't have one, you can always drill holes and use dowels instead. All these strips are 1/2 inch thick, and they're going to act as spacers in between all of the boards on the headboard. I glued one spacer to each headboard slat. This will allow there to be a 1/2 inch air gap between the layers where the hidden feature will later get installed. So the next thing I need to do is
Yo, he
glue all of
keeps
these
saying
boards
hidden feature. It's probably light or like. You think it's a mixture of light and natural sounds?
into one big panel that'll form the headboard.
Probably.
And while I do that, I want to talk a little bit about my planning process for my projects. I'm a very visual person, and the best tool that I've found to plan out my projects is Milanote. So when they reached out to me to sponsor this video, I was very excited because Milanote my projects. And so for this bed design, I created a sub board, which is
Oh
a
my
mood
fuck,
board
he's
full
still
of reference
going?
images that I thought were inspiring or helpful. I'm a little bit concerned about its strength as is, and I'm gonna be moving this panel around a lot when I'm joining it to the legs. I grabbed my drill and I tossed it in the air because I thought it would look cool in slow motion, which it didn't. And so to strengthen things up a bit, I drove in around 20 screws.
You could have just not left that part in. You didn't have to explain that you tried to do it to look cool and it didn't.
To fasten the panel together.
What emote is
So I
that?
have a bit of a problem. When I glued up this panel, I shoved all of the boards up against the other leg. That worked out well, and that means that that side of the panel is completely flat with the leg. There aren't any gaps, but there's a lot of gaps over here. The root cause of that is that each of these boards is a slightly different length. They're all supposed to be 52 inches long. I'm not building a bed that has a ton of visible gaps. I sanded the problematic side flat with some 60 grit sandpaper, and it was time to see if that had fixed the issue. That's way better. There's not really any gaps. Good. I mean, there's some gaps, but
Yeah, you gotta be like really like innovative to be able to do this. Dude, if I did that If I did this, I'd run into like one problem and I would just be like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just give up.
Nothing that a little bit of wood filler can't
I'm not very good at problem solving.
fix.
I had to figure out how to attach this massive panel I just built to the 2 legs on either side. And after some careful tracing and marking, I got the position of all the joints and started cutting them with the domino jointer.
That's the domino joint.
Time to do the test fit. I certainly hope this works.
Things don't usually fit together for me on the first try, but
Oh, I didn't expect that to work first try. Neither did I, dude. I know, dude. Pretty stoked. It's awesome.
I sanded the legs smooth and gave them a slight 1/8 inch round over so that there's no sharp edges to hurt yourself on. At this point, I could really see my
It's a
vision
fucking
coming
splinter.
together. As I glued up the headboard, I got to thinking about how even just a couple years ago, I would have felt intimidated about building a bed because of its sheer size. I think it's natural to equate the largeness of a project with it being difficult or complex, but those two often aren't correlated. Yes, it may be more challenging and take longer because you have to handle larger materials, but that in no way means that it's less possible than a smaller size project.
Got some ratchet straps here. Come on, bro. They're tangled up.
Bit of a shortfall in my planning for this glue up. I should have done a dry fit to see if the straps would provide enough force to pull the joints together,
Clamp this.
but instead, I had to realize just how bad they actually worked while the glue was drying. Luckily, with some persuasion from my mallet, I was able to get the joints a little bit tighter.
Some persuasion from my mallet. He just starts beating the fuck out of the top of the bed frame.
However, they definitely need some wood filler, and this was overall a frustrating experience. After filling the gaps left from the glue up, I set the headboard aside because I needed to build the footboard. The longer that you design and make stuff, common themes will start to emerge from your work. I look at some projects as a way to expand my style in a new direction, while other projects I want to fit into my existing body of work. With all these branches of your style, it provides a
Yo,
framework.
I would never be able to do woodworking, bro. I'm not patient enough, and I'm not, like, mindful enough to do all that. Hello?
Hey, you're looking for Steven?
This isn't Steven.
This isn't Steven?
No.
Ooh, is this Wagner Motorsports?
No.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, my apologies.
You're good.
Thank you.
They back for Steve. Wait, was that the same number from last time? Alright, chill.
Consistency in the future, while also giving you the freedom to not be confined to just one style.
I've got all of the pieces of the footboard sanded to 220 grit. Extremely smooth. So now it's time to glue this whole thing together. I just realized I have a bit of a problem, which is that this entire section is about 56 inches long, and the longest clamp that I have is 48. So I need to figure out some way to clamp these joints tight when I glue it up so that I don't have any gaps.
You said you were Steve. Now that I have your number saved as Steve.
I think I have an idea.
I did say I was Steve. Is this Steve? Yes.
My thought is that in using these pocket hole screws, it'll pull the joint together for when I glue it up. After the glue is dry, it doesn't really matter.
This is Steve from Minecraft. I did say that, bro. I forgot about that. I forgot that when they called me, I said I
Looking
was
pretty
Steve
good
from
here.
Minecraft.
This feels extremely solid. I'm glad that I used the biggest dominoes possible. I'm kind of
Yo, and then I asked if he'd been living under a rock. Oh. Oh, no.
now just realizing how easy it actually is to build a bed. All you really need to do is make a footboard, make a headboard, and then have two boards that span in between for the sides.
For those, I glued two 3/4 inch boards face to face to make it thicker. I made these pieces 75 inches long because that's the length of a full-size mattress, which is larger than my childhood bed, as many of you astutely noticed in my last video.
What's wrong with a twin bed? I have a twin bed. Well, my room's also small. I can't really fit another bed in here.
Now I needed to decide what type of finish I wanted for this bed. Although I liked the wood grain, I felt like the orange hue of the finished hemlock was not the direction I was looking for. I wanted a lighter, almost bleached look that still let the wood grain show through. I used a semi-transparent stain, which I applied with a brush, and then I wiped off the excess with a rag.
I don't know, I like the orange color.
I ended up sealing the bed with wipe-on polyurethane, and that gave it a very smooth, natural wood feel. One of the final steps before I could get to work on the hidden alarm feature was to screw in some bed frame hardware.
Okay, I've run into a bit of an issue, which is that the countersinks on all of these bed hardware pieces are too shallow. And that means that they will no longer slide together because these screws are poking up too far. So, that might have done it pretty much flush, so maybe I need to grind it a little bit more.
Yeah. Let's go.
Once again, another problem that if I ran into, I would just give up on.
Now that I have all of the hardware installed, the bed
Or I'd just take a fucking hammer and I'd just start beating the shit out of it with it.
frame itself is pretty much ready to assemble. But before I can actually put a mattress on this and assemble the whole thing,
I needed to cut some thin strips for the bed slats to sit on top of. Before I could make too much progress on those, I got slightly distracted.
what am I working on?
Yeah.
I'm finishing up my bed that I'm gonna sleep on.
What's that saw right there?
What's this saw?
It's used to cut off people's hands. Now get the fuck away from my beds!
Yeah.
This is the table saw.
For what?
It's for cutting long pieces like this.
Can you show me?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Smack
Need
that
your
kid.
helmet.
That's right, I need my helmet. You might want to plug your ears.
I want to see the cut.
That used to be one piece of wood.
Can you pass me the small one?
Nope!
I in fact didn't pass him the small one because I needed to screw it down to the inside face of the side rails. Just as I'd finished building all the parts of the bed, summer was over, and it was time to load up the car and drive to school.
This took him that long to do.
As I was heading down to college, I got to thinking about the stuff we own.
He was in
We
college.
form relationships with the objects around us, and those objects shape our day-to-day lives whether we like it or not. Stuff has such a heavy grasp on us, and we don't even notice it. The products we use can be inspiring, frustrating, or mundanely pedestrian. In my quest to make a good quality bed that would last for years, it made me think back to all of the projects I built that I don't often use.
Where does this guy live? Look at this fucking scenery.
As people who design and build stuff, it's our job to make things that people will actually use, and not just cheap shit that will find its home in the landfill. Some objects hold value because we spend a lot of money to get them. Others find value through their sentimental nature, which can only be gained through constant use or an emotional connection.
Yeah, I was right. He's gonna use fucking LED lights that have like a timer on them so that they slowly get brighter and brighter as time goes on.
In many ways, the goal of a craftsman is to build something so good and indispensable that its constant use
Those are
creates
dope LED lights. What
a
lights are
connection
those?
between it and its owner.
It fucking puts a hole in his wall. Oh, I think it dented his wall, chat.
Holy sh!
Take a look around you. How many of the objects you own are older than 5 to 10 years? If the answer
I don't think anything around me is older than 5 to 10 years. Oh, my flag is.
is none, that's probably not a great sign. I think physical objects are kind of like friends. You
Alright, so fuck you, asshole. I just moved here. Get off my back.
want to get high quality ones right off the bat and then never let them go. but in order to keep them in your life, you need to take good care of them. I can only hope that this bed frame is a material possession that inspires me.
Yo, I just got like a flashback to when I broke my fucking monitor. Chat. Light work, no reaction.
To keep it in service for many years to come, but I guess only time will tell. If you haven't gathered by now, I'm installing these LED strips in the half-inch gap under each board. The idea is to have them light up whenever I set my alarm, so instead of waking up to a harsh sound, you wake up more gradually as they get brighter.
Yeah! Let's go, I fucking knew it, chat. Yo, you think you think he has these linked in the description? Back to the video.
Just as you naturally wake up with the sun.
I got all the LED strips soldered together. Hopefully they should light up. This is my first time testing this.
Well, then again, his setup, like his room, he uses warm lighting. In my room, I use like LEDs, so I use like colorful colors and shit.
Why is it not working? Oh, dude.
Yo, that looks fucking sick. Chat, look at that. That looks fire. Oh, I can put the lights behind my bed.
Dang, that gets pretty bright. Now that I know that the lights work, I need to add the adapter that's going to allow me to control this with my phone and set it as an alarm. And this part is going to be fairly simple because I'm just using an off-the-shelf smart plug, which many of you suggested for my previous project.
That looks so
I plug
clean.
the
That
lights
does look
directly
clean.
into this, and then I can use the app to connect with Bluetooth, and I can set an alarm for when I want these lights to turn on. There's a link in the description to this exact adapter that I used. That's not going anywhere. Let's test the strength.
It fucking snaps as soon as he steps on it.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad. Yo, that looks fire. He had a little 3D model.
I've been sleeping in this bed for about a month and using the lights in the headboard to wake me up. It works incredibly well. I find that the lights wake me up much more gently than a normal alarm. And rather than jolting awake,
I'd
I'm
buy
slowly
that. I would
brought
buy
to
that too.
consciousness,
Oh, it's
and you
muted.
go back to sleep. This might be one of my favorite functional projects I've made because it actually improves my morning routine quite a bit. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you
That's cool
subscribe
that you
and
can
hit the
do
like
that
button.
though. That's fire. How long do you guys think this took him to make? Alright, W video. Alright. Chat.